All right, hockey fans. So we've both had some technical difficulties here. Last night I was up to 1:30 in the morning because the video would not process, but I stuck with it. So the video posted at like quarter after one, the recap of the Rangers game, Rangers Canes. And Stu is locked out of everything. The only thing he's not locked out of right now is his house and the cigar shop. So he's doing it on his phone. So that's how our morning has gone so far. So Stu, you got your wish. The Rangers won.
Yep. I told you they would.
Yep.
Just had, I had a feeling. And, for those that watched the game, you could see determination. I just think they had a game plan. They stuck with it. They wanted it more. I told you the key to the game was two things: getting an early lead and Shesterkin playing like, we know he can.
Right. Yep.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and Carolina, I mean, like I said last night, it's tough doing that at home. Basically getting, not blowing out of your own building, but kind of, sort of. But you're already down to your backup goaltender. And then when he did that split and went down, I mean, that hurt me, man, because you watched he split that leg out. It wasn't like a natural sliding split. He brought that leg down and you watched it bounce, and you just knew when he went flat face, it was like, oh, that poor kid. So then they bring in this poor guy who's a rookie, and he made a really good save when he first came onto the ice, and Canes had a chance back the other way. Shesterkin took it and made that save. And then the second shot, this kid, I forget his name, Kuchechkov, something like that. Second shot, he saw the puck's in the back of the net, and that was all she wrote. So,
yep. Well, I didn't expect 2 goals in the first 10 minutes, but
right.
That first goal within the first couple of minutes, I mean, the crowd was electric when they stepped on the ice. And
yeah,
of course, the Rangers getting that first goal, even though the crowd tried a couple of times to get going there.
Right.
As soon as that second goal was scored, I said to you, I think we kind of knew, but I always look for the 4 goals. With any of these good goalies, Vasilevsky, Bob, and Shesterkin, you get them 4 goals, man. Of course, they let in a couple, but by then the game was over.
Yeah, I mean, by then, Shesterkin was not. He was less than focused. We'll put it that way. But that game reminded me of some of the earlier, not really game 4 the Panthers Lightning, but some of the earlier games where you could just tell from the moment the puck dropped that one team had it and the other team didn't.
Yep.
And we both obviously give credit to Gallant. Gallant's a good coach.
Yep.
He's only proven it how many times?
He still has Mike Kelly.
Yep. And I think I saw Gord Murphy out there too on the ice. Yeah. So
these guys have been a coaching team for a while. So
yeah, the irony that Gerard Gallant and Frank Vetrano are in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Lightning, while we're not sure what we're doing at coach, is if I wasn't so, on one hand it pisses me off, and the other hand it's just like delicious, like some irony. It just, I don't know what the word is.
Poetic justice.
Yeah, there you go. That Stu's got the language down. That just incredible that the turn of events have.
Well, I told you at the time of the trade that Zito really liked Vetrano. Probably didn't want to get rid of him, but the cap squeeze.
Right.
He did him solid training. I mean, a guy within the conference, but he did.
Yeah.
And now Frankie's up at the top line playing with Kreider and Jazan.
I know. Yeah, but the guy, you can't say his name either. It's okay. I just say the Z and then whatever comes out afterwards. It's a banana.
Someone has to spell it out phonetically for me.
I don't know. I'll have to
I mean, I've said that name 100 times,
Yeah.
1,000 times, and I screw it up every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I get it. I'll just call him the banana head or something like that. So no
You're not-
disrespect, Rangers
you're not
fans.
the
Right. So all right. Now let's talk a little bit of the conference finals here.
We don't want to talk about any more about the game and the block shots.
Well, let's talk about it. Let's go.
Former, former Tampa Bay Lightning. He'd been out 25 games, I believe, and
Yeah.
came back for the start of this series. And I think the Canes were on a power play, and he blocked two
shots. Yeah.
important shots.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring that up because that was actually going to be my first key to the next series. But we'll talk about Goudreau. Exactly that. And it shows that it can work. You bring in a Stanley Cup winner from another team and he can have that same kind of effect. Some players are like that.
But the Rangers stars rose to the occasion.
That's the other thing. Yep.
Kreider, 52 goals in the regular season.
Yep.
He didn't pull a Huberdeau and disappear. He scored, some important goals in the series, but none more important than the two he popped in last night.
Right.
That second goal, I mean, obviously the first goal was a beautiful tip-in.
Yeah.
In that second goal, that puck had eyes.
Right.
And then that makes it what, 3-0?
It was the first, let's see, I think the second goal was the deflection. The first one was the one that just that was the Fox shot. The first one was the Fox shot.
Okay,
yeah. But I mean the Kreider one, the deflection made it 2-0, but that was the two in the first 10 minutes. And then he got the one later, I believe you're correct that made it 3 or 4-0.
Yeah. No, I think it was 3. But my point being, the guy kills it in the regular season,
right,
and just continues on into the playoffs,
right,
and leads his team when they needed, scoring leadership.
Right. It'd be really.
Who knows what our series would have been like if, Barkov and Huberdeau had scored a goal or 2 goals a game.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
But
Or
they didn't.
Right. Two goals for the entire game. that might have just made a difference. And the biggest thing though is, and this is not a knock on Bob because Bob played pretty damn well. Basically the Eastern Conference is the two teams with the best goaltenders,
Yes,
in the conference.
I mean, how many times did I text you and say Shesterkin early on? Shesterkin's in the zone.
In the zone, right, right.
He's playing Vasilevsky hockey. I mean, he's still I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he's one of the finalists for the MVP, isn't it?
I know Vezina. I wasn't sure if MVP or not, but
I think he is.
Yeah, all those came out during the Panthers Lightning series, so I didn't pay as close to attention as I should have.
I think he is.
Yeah.
But the Rangers wouldn't be where they were and are if it wasn't for his amazing play this year. So
right.
The defense, it's a Gerard Gallant team.
Yeah, no, look, yeah. Exactly.
The defense, and look how quick they get it out of the zone. And look, the 2 power play goals. The Canes shot themselves in the foot, just like we've seen the Panthers do many times. You can't take penalties, especially with the 4th best power play in the league.
Right.
Look how fast they moved that around.
And
it's amazing. I you got to just shoot, and good things happen. Kreider had that tip in, but I don't know how many times, I'd see some action in the Canes zone, and then they'd fire it down. There was still 45 seconds left on the power play.
Right.
Doing nothing for a minute and 45 seconds. And then finally, the first unit, we're talking about the Panthers now, that first unit would get off the ice.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well,
anyway.
And the other thing is we talked about this a little bit when we saw, Kucherov and McKinnon, and as much as I love Aaron Ekblad, he's no Adam Fox. Fox was just all over the place last night.
Well, he won, he
He
won
was Norris last year.
the Norris Trophy. So
right. So
the best players stepped up.
But I guess what I'm saying is with the Panthers, it further illustrates that we have a collection of guys that are almost at that level. Bobrovsky is not quite Vasilevsky's Shesterkin. Ekblad and Huberdeau are not quite Draisaitl and McDavid. Ekblad is not quite Adam Fox. You see what I'm saying? It's like
or Victor Hedman.
Right. It's like we've got a really good group of guys that all are almost that ridiculously elite player. Doesn't mean you can't win with that. St. Louis won with that for the most part. So, But all right. So now let's switch to this, because I want to touch on the Western Conference just a little bit, just to get your opinion at the end. Now Tampa, obviously this is the fun part, because Stu is going to be rooting for the Rangers because he's originally a Ranger fan. Oh, and somebody asked me a question. Actually, it was Kyle asked me a question. This is a little bit off topic, but it's okay. He asked me a question last night. He said, and you were around during this time, so you would know. How or why did New York end up with the Islanders, with the second team?
Good question. Kind of sort of like the Mets, because New York had the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Yankees.
Right.
Both the Giants and the Dodgers moved to LA. So they wanted to replace, and they ended up replacing, one of the teams with the Mets. And if you notice, the color scheme of the Mets is a combination of the Giant colors and the Dodgers.
Colors. That makes sense.
So I just think, obviously there were no New Jersey Devils at the time.
Right.
That they wanted, Long Island is a big market.
Right.
And they wanted another New York team.
Right.
So, obviously in the 60s, the late 60s, it was the Rangers for me. And then, as soon as the Islanders were born,
right.
I switched allegiances. Now, I got to put a disclaimer in here. I'm obviously rooting for the Rangers.
Right.
Do I think they're going to beat Tampa? I'll just say maybe.
Maybe.
Because I really deep down kind of sort of have a feeling Tampa's going to win it.
Right.
Just think they're overall the best team in the league. And obviously when you have Vasilevsky in the playoffs,
right.
He doesn't have too many letdown games.
Right.
His record speaks for himself. So that being said, I'm still rooting for the Rangers.
So I think on last night's recap, somebody put a stat out. I haven't checked this, but I believe somebody said the Rangers are 3-0 against Tampa this year. So there's that. And then there's obviously, what's that?
Means nothing.
And then there's home ice advantage, which we'll see how that works out. And then there is.
That could be big.
Right.
Because it's the Garden.
Right.
The world's most famous arena. And, I don't know if you've ever been to a Game 7 for the Rangers. That crowd is loud.
That crowd's gonna be loud.
Really
Yeah.
loud. Okay.
And then the other thing is, obviously, did Tampa have a nice rest, or was it too much rest? How are they coming out game one, especially? Because if they come out and beat the Rangers game one, then you could just lock this series in a box, in my opinion, because the Rangers have to win. They've got to win both at home.
Yeah.
And Tampa doesn't lose 2 in a row. So they're up against it. But it's tough for me because you're gonna be rooting Rangers. I'm gonna be rooting Tampa. I'm so torn because I've got 25% of the channels Tampa fans and their Patreon supporters and YouTube members. So I'm pro Tampa. At the same time, it's like, damn, I gotta root against Gerard Gallant.
But you also have a lot of former Ranger fans.
Right.
Because a lot of Panther fans used to be Ranger fans or Islander fans.
Right. So,
but yeah, I can't believe. I mean, the Rangers came back two down.
Yeah.
So
Right.
now it's just unbelievable that they have home ice, and again, a big advantage of home ice is the line changes, the last
Right.
line change. And now, we're dealing with Gallant, not Burnett. So
Yeah. 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 Galanta's been there, done that. And like I said,
it's gonna be a good series no matter
right.
what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, do
It's
I
it,
think I think Tampa had too much time off? Yes and no. Yes, because you want to keep that momentum going, and
right.
no, because you needed players to heal up from
Yeah.
all the bruises and
Yeah.
soreness and whatever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the Rangers got guys that, I mean, Lindgren had to go to the locker room and come back.
Amazing
Goudreau.
how he came back. Amazing.
What's that?
I said it's amazing that he
Yeah.
came back. He really slammed hard into the boards, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely looked like his head hit the boards.
Yeah. No, he face planted into the boards, and then Goudreau, they weren't even expecting him back, and he's back, and blocking shots. So, he's not 100%.
Yep.
If it was any other team, like I didn't want to play the Rangers. I thought it was going to be a Panthers Rangers Eastern Conference Final, and I was concerned. I was concerned about the Rangers for the same reason that Tampa swept us. We'll put it that way. So the concern was valid. This is really, and I talked about this in the video I made wrapping up the season. If you want to get out of the Eastern Conference, it's tough. It's not going to be fancy schmancy open ice in the playoffs. You were going to get your ass kicked, and it is going to be the last toughest team standing. And it's the Panthers have their work cut out for them to get out of this conference. Let's just put it that way. It's not. Man, I'm struggling this morning. Sorry, guys.
Well, the one good takeaway from getting swept, especially after last year, but this year was just embarrassment.
Yeah.
And if you remember, Tampa had won the President's Cup and got swept by Columbus.
Right.
And I posted that on Twitter this morning. If that's not motivation for next season, I don't know what is. But I do think we need an overhaul. Not an overhaul. Yeah, no, I was going to say tweaks, but we do need an overhaul. We need to, emphasize defense, because that's playoff hockey.
Right.
And my tweet was basically stats mean nothing. The regular season, obviously, we finished the best team in the league, and with the greatest offense, the sixth greatest offense in NHL history, and we go dead.
Yep.
So LA proved it. St. Louis proved it. All you got to do is get in. You could be the eighth seed and just, peak at the right time.
Yeah.
And win it all. Again, it's in here.
It's in the heart. It's all heart. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, we both kind of agree that I'm hoping for game 7. I'm not it's like Tom Brady, man. It's like until I see Vasilevsky lose 2 games in a row, it's hard to root against them. Now, the Rangers are in a position like Toronto was that they can win this series without winning 2 in a row. And had Toronto won game 7, that's what they would have done. So it can happen, but game 1, the Rangers have to go out there and win game 1, and it's going to be very interesting because it's going to
had to do was win game 6, and they were real close to winning that.
Right. Yeah. So, all right, what do you think about Edmonton and Colorado? To me, I think we're going to be watching those games going, what is goaltending? Because Mike Smith is not great. Kemper's been good, but not, I have a feeling we're going to be, as Panther fans, we're going to be watching the puck going back and forth, and we're going to be like, son of a bitch, we could beat these guys.
on paper, they match up real well. So you got Landeskog, McKinnon, and Rantanen versus McDavid, Draisaitl, and Kane.
Right.
Those are the six guys to highlight.
Yeah.
But you also got Colorado's got, Cale Makar.
Right. Right.
Who, is one of those Lindstrom, Bork, Pavin is one of those defensemen that could be a big game changer because of
Right.
his offensive ability.
Right.
So, yeah, Mike Smith, 41 years old. This might be his last chance at the
Right.
dance, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be high scoring series. And I don't know, man. I think Edmonton can take them.
I agree with you. I think Edmonton can take them. I don't trust Colorado that much, right? I mean, they swept the first round, but I just don't trust them that much. They almost they thought about blowing the second round. They thought about that for a half a minute. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whoever gets for me, whoever comes out of the East is going to win the cup. That's the other thing here is that I don't see either one of those teams beating even the Rangers because just this we've already seen it.
I don't know why they picked today to do some lawn work, but luckily I'm on my phone. I'll take it inside here.
Yeah, poor Stu's got technical difficulties after technical difficulties, man.
Bad news today.
Right.
Anyway,
so yeah, we've already seen it.
Again, it's going to come down to the superstars.
Right.
If McDavid, does his thing, and I think I don't know the last time that Edmonton hasn't been in the finals for.
I think it was 2006. That was because my friend who's a Canes fan was hoping it was going to end up being it was Edmonton versus Canes. That's when the Canes won in 2006.
Right?
Yeah. So it's been 2006 don't sound like that long ago, but it's 16 years. You know what I mean? So, not everybody has never been back like the Panthers. So when we hear other teams haven't been back in 10, 15 years, we're like, oh, that's not that long. but for them, it is.
McDavid hasn't been in the finals.
Right.
So he's got a whiff now. He can smell the cup in the distance.
Right.
So
it'd be interesting if Edmonton pulls it off. If it's Edmonton, Tampa, I mean, gosh, goaltending aside, because obviously that matchup is lopsided, but it'd be interesting to see if Tampa can shut down an offensive team like Edmonton the same way they shut down the Panthers.
Well,
and then
they'll be watching film.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we've said, right? Tampa laid it out there for the rest of the league. I really like your recap of right, the season ending one. Yeah.
And things that need to be changed and yeah.
It's really a tough decision. We're talking about the Panthers now, like Stu said. The longer all I can think of is the longer that this goes on, the more it tells me they're not going to re-sign Brunette. Because if you have that many questions, you have that many questions. And if you have that many questions, that's not the guy to ink to a deal that's going to take this core. Like I said, you're not going to give him 1 year, right? So I think the longer this goes on,
Eric, if they're going to make a move and they're zeroing in on Trotz,
right?
You better move quick because there's
yeah.
There's Winnipeg, Vegas, Philly.
Yeah.
That's 3 Islanders.
Right. Yeah. Well, he
That's
just
cool.
he just he
He's
just
looking
left the
back to the
Islanders.
Islanders, but
I
I
don't think they're
mean,
gonna hire him back.
no. So I'm just talking coaching
Yeah,
vacancies.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, you got three teams right there that would spend the money to get, Trotz is right behind Q
Right,
and
right. Yeah,
in the
exactly.
greatest coaches in history. So
Right, right,
um Jack posted something on Twitter this morning about Q coming back, and we've talked about that. So I don't see that happening. At least not next year.
right,
This thing's
right,
got to die down if he ever comes back.
right, right.
He might decide, you know what?
Enough is enough.
I'm happy down here. I'm playing golf. I'm going to the racetrack. Who needs that aggravation?
Right, right.
And
No,
that's what it is. It's aggravation. I mean,
well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all. I don't know. He's second. He's second in wins all time, so he might be looking at that. Um, he may think the only way he'd want to come back is with the Panthers. Who knows? Who
yeah.
who, who knows?
And Trotz is right behind him.
Right,
So,
Trotz. Right, right, right.
so who knows what's going to happen? I don't, it'd be a miracle if we got Q back.
You
But
know,
then what do you do about Burnett? You move him back to being an assistant coach?
I don't know.
So,
There's no. To me, if you do something, you bring in Trotz. The the the
well,
the controversy of bringing Q back just I don't want nothing to do with it. To be honest with you, just
and 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 it's going to be the same system.
Mhm.
And that's what we need to change is the system. We need to go back to defense first
Right.
and, forget about the high scoring, high flying, you know,
Well, it's
season that
almost
we saw this year, because obviously, it was great entertainment in the regular season, but when
right,
it came down to the nitty gritty,
right. No, it was. And look, there was this guy. What was his name? That would suit this team perfectly. His last, I think Gallant, something like that was the dude's name. He's pretty good. It's just I'm sorry. Because I started the channel a month before he got fired, and that's kind of what got the channel off of the ground was that whole thing. Just the irony is
but
just
look, he took Vegas to the finals.
right. Yeah.
But why did they get rid of him?
Well, that's the question.
Why did Vegas get rid of him?
Right,
That's a $1 million question for me.
right. Yeah.
So something, we don't know the inside scoop.
No, no, we don't. But he wins. That's what he does. Is he
I
wins.
don't think, it was wins and losses. Something
Right,
else happened with both teams.
right. Well, he's
So,
he's got a fiery personality, so
but
I'm sure behind the scenes, who
if
knows,
we could
right?
get Trotz, I mean,
Yeah,
look what Trotz did with the Islanders. That
right,
just
right,
that also boggles my mind why they got rid of him.
right.
Why
Yeah,
did Washington get rid of him after winning the cup?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's really it's weird, man, to some of the moves that are made in the NHL.
Yep, yep, yep. A lot of ego. A lot of ego must be going
So,
around.
I'd like to see Edmonton beat Colorado.
Yeah,
Only 'cause I think Colorado's not going to call them arrogant, but I'm going to call them entitlement, or
entitled.
entitled, like they're entitled to win. That everybody has picked them to win the cup this year.
Right,
You know,
right, right, right. Yeah,
but
an Edmonton Rangers series would be decent, but I just don't think either one of those teams has the goaltending to keep up with the Rangers or Tampa. So
yeah,
that's
that's it. You see that's why the Stanley Cup winner is being played in the
yeah,
Eastern Conference Final.
yeah. And we've been saying that all year, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
and again, it's going to be a battle of the goalies.
right. Yeah,
What goalie and obviously the defense has to step up. They both have good defense.
yeah. And good coaches too. you know,
And both have good coaches.
both have good coaches. It's got to go 7. I mean, it's got to go
Again,
7.
special teams, but there
Right.
you go. Just proves the point about special teams being the difference in the playoffs.
Yeah, man. The Ranger fans.
2 power play goals.
Right. Yeah.
Within the first 10 minutes of the game.
The one player that could be the balance maker in terms of helping Tampa is Frank Vetrano, because if he has his nightly stupid penalty, oh, I mean,
we knew he was gonna,
I know.
get one. It's
Yep.
just a question of when it was gonna happen.
Right. Every game it's a hook, mostly hooking, holding interference once
And
a game.
Tripping and hooking.
Yeah, tripping. And
One high stick. He's gotten a few of those.
Right.
But
yeah.
the other thing for me that I pointed out to you was Trocheck won, like, there was a run there where he won 8 faceoffs in a row.
Jeez.
He was on a tear last night, but that line did not step up.
No. And
Jordan didn't have a great game. Aho was probably the best player for them.
Yeah.
And he was stymied.
Yeah. They didn't look right.
What's that?
So they didn't look right. Carolina did not look right. And which is odd because they've had plenty of game 7s and they had a game 7 at home, of course, I guess they keep losing their game 7s. So there's that. Right.
That early goal
Yeah.
made the difference. It just swings the momentum. In a game 7, that first goal,
yeah,
they said 75%
right
of the teams that score first in a game 7 win the game.
Yep. Yeah, because you start holding that stick really, really tight, and that's what it looked like. I'm really surprised because the Canes are the team that's been there, done that. The Rangers really haven't been in the playoffs, and Canes are at home, and you kind of would have thought the script would have been flipped, where the Canes were like, we know what we're doing, and the Rangers would have felt all that pressure. But that first goal, just like you said, it flipped that game on its head. And
well, we know the Canes play better with the lead.
Right. Yeah.
It's just one of those shutdown teams.
Yeah.
They get the lead. It's hard to come back. Not saying it's impossible, but
right.
And going down 2 goals.
That second one. Yeah.
That second one was a dagger, man.
Right. Yeah. So early on in the game, because it really, you could kind of see them trying to keep calm and not be concerned. But, as you got on in the second period, before New York opened it up, you could kind of tell that the Canes were pressing. They were just not themselves last night. Feel bad for the fans, the TV guys, man. The cameraman didn't have to do that, kid. Did you see? They show some like 10, 12-year-old kid crying in his dad's shoulder. And it's like, man, you didn't have to do that to that kid. He's got to go to school. He's got to go to school this morning. Hey, man. Hey, TJ, I saw you crying on TV last night. I mean, that wasn't right, man. I'm sorry, man. That's going to be, his friends are going to notice. When you're 12, when you get caught on TV crying, your friends find out. Let's put it that way.
Listen, the Panthers are not alone. The Canes, they haven't made it to the conference finals.
No, they did against Tampa. Yeah,
they years ago.
Yeah.
How many years ago?
I thought it was last year. No.
It was Montreal.
Yeah. Was it Montreal? Was Montreal? Well, that was the Stanley Cup Finals. But how far did Carolina make it last year? I thought I heard them.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was last year or the year. Look, they all run together. When you're our age, and it's not your team, they start running together. And especially with the pandemic and all of that. And
it wasn't last year because they had a division
change.
Well,
they were in our division.
What I'm saying is
that's what it was. Yeah.
They didn't win it. San Jose, like you were saying, this morning or last night about all these teams. The Capitals had never won it. St. Louis had never won it.
Right.
Preds, all these teams have gotten close
Right.
and never won the big prize. So
Yeah, or taken a while. It took Washington.
If the Panthers don't learn from this,
Right.
I mean, like you said, what a waste.
What a waste. Yep.
Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
And you're right. We played better last year.
Yeah. 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 We just,
we gave Tampa a ride for their money. This year, they just took it from us.
They took it every game, all 4 games in a row. I can see losing game 1 and going, oh shit, these guys really mean business. We better pick up our game. And to some extent they did that, but then we won't say the name of the player. Things happened at the end of game 2 that changed that series in our life for forever. We'll just leave it at that. I'm not getting into it. All right, guys. So our picks are Edmonton and Tampa. Do we agree on who we think is going to win, not who we want? Edmonton and Tampa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck, Edmonton. That's all I got to say, because you guys are like Panthers light. And if they could do that to us, who knows? I'd like to see a good series if that's the way it goes. I'm going to be pissed off, and Edmonton can take Tampa to 7 and we get swept. That's gonna piss me off like no tomorrow. So that'll make for good entertainment, though. Yeah. All right, guys. We appreciate all the support, all the new subscribers. Thank you so much. From here on out, with the Eastern Western Conference Finals obviously start tonight, and the Stanley Cup Finals, I will be doing a live stream 1 hour before the game for a pregame live stream, and then I'll have the recaps. Stu and I will have the reviews up every morning, and then later on today, I'm getting with Nick from Twisted Wrister Hockey, and we're doing an Eastern Conference Finals preview. I want to get his take on things, because he picked Tampa to beat the Panthers in the second round before the playoffs started. So I got a bone to pick with Nick, because
I think Edmonton and Colorado are tonight, aren't they?
Yeah, it starts tonight. Yeah. It starts tonight. They didn't waste any time, man. They're just like boom, boom hockey. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Keep us in the zone. So appreciate all the support, guys. And we will see you again, hopefully with the full technical, with no more technical difficulties tomorrow.